Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and as you can hear, I am under the weather today. That's what I get for traveling. But I still wanted to do a quick video for you because we had some really interesting news drop in the last 24 hours about Facebook. They are now basically facing 8 separate lawsuits over their AI. And here we go. I think this is actually really interesting. It's a long time coming. This is coming from Bloomberg, who I'm pretty much going to quote very extensively here, only because, like I said, I'm under the weather here. Now, here's what's going on. 8 complaints filed in courthouses across the United States, basically in the past week, allege that excessive exposure to platforms, including Facebook and Instagram, have led to attempted or actual suicides, eating disorders, sleeplessness, and other issues among our youth. Now, the complaints add to basically this spurt of recent cases against both Meta, aka Facebook's parent company, and Snap Inc., aka Snapchat, including some filed by parents whose children actually took, unfortunately, their own lives. Now, the litigation follows, as you know, a former Facebook employee's high-profile testimony, that would be Frances Haugen, in front of Congress, and basically she stated that the company refused to take responsibility for harming the mental health of its youngest users. A lot of that is based on her whistleblowing stuff, I have to imagine. Now, one of the new suits was filed by Naomi Charles. She's now 22 years old, and she says she started using Meta platforms, aka Facebook, Instagram, etc., when she was a minor, and that her addiction led to her attempted suicide and other types of sufferings that she had. Meta, and I quote, misrepresented the safety, utility, and non-addictive properties of their products, according to the complaint that was filed in Miami federal court. Now, Ms. Charles, like other users, are seeking monetary damages to compensate them for mental anguish, loss of enjoyment of life, cost of hospitalization, and medical bills. Obviously, if you attempt suicide, you're going to be put into a psychiatric hold, not to mention hospital to hopefully save your life, etc., etc. Now, the claims in the suits include defective design, failure to warn, fraud, and negligence. The complaints were filed in federal courts in Texas, Tennessee, Colorado, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, here in Illinois, and Missouri. Now, attorney Andy Birchfield, who is the principal at Beasley Allen, basically this is a law firm that drafted all of these suits, put out on a statement, excuse me, on Wednesday, and I quote Mr. Birchfield, "These applications could have been designed to minimize potential harm, but instead a decision was made to aggressively addict adolescents in the name of corporate profits." Now, a Meta spokesperson declined to comment on that litigation to Bloomberg, but noted that the company has developed tools for parents to keep track of their children's activity on Instagram and set time limits. Obviously, those coming much later in Instagram's life. Meta also offers, quote, "take a break," end quote, reminders to nudge users to take a moment away from social media. I usually keep my social media up all day, not that I'm interacting with it. I've never seen something that says, "Hey, Nick, you need to take a break." Now, in addition to this, the company is providing resources specific to eating disorders, making potentially sensitive content harder to find, and developing the use of artificial intelligence to make sure that children under the age of 13 can't sign up for Facebook or Instagram, according to their spokesperson. Now, the age of 13 is basically the COPPA, or Child Online Privacy Protection Act, that allows anyone 13 and up to essentially sign up for a social media account. That has been the standards, but studies have shown, and this is outside of Bloomberg, that basically you can go read iGen, by Jean Twenge, or read Jonathan Haidt's The Coddling of the American Mind to start getting more information on this. But essentially, studies have shown that there has been a huge spike in depression and suicidal thoughts in boys ages basically 13 to 18, starting at around 2011, and a unbelievable massive spike in girls same age, same time period. And basically the correlation there is time spent on social media. Not to mention the fact that we now know that basically Facebook's AI and algorithms are essentially, focusing anger and all those kinds of things because it makes them more revenue. Not to mention the fact that we have other psychological conditions that nobody's really taken into account, since the dawn of social media until more recently, which is, usually when I grew up, the schoolyard bully stayed at school, didn't come home with you. Now, they come home with you through social media. So I think this is a rather important subject. I'm glad to see lawsuits actually being filed. I'm not a litigious person, but quite frankly, it's time we take Facebook to task for this because it's been absolutely unbelievable. You're also listening or watching the guy that put out a video a couple years ago called "It's Time to Put Mark Zuckerberg in Jail." That was about half an hour of everything from basically when Zuckerberg founded the company all the way up to like 2019 or 2020, whenever I did that video, on just the litany of things that they have been accused of, from data breaches to psychological trauma and everything in between. I urge everybody to go watch that as well. So that is your news of the day. I'm going to shut up now. I'm just exhausted, and there you go. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private. And for the record, stay off of Facebook as well and Instagram. Thanks.